After being reborn, I deliberately became everything Julian hates most. He likes girls with long hair, likes gentle, demure women, so I chopped off the waist-length black hair, went surfing and skiing with friends, and stayed up all night playing. In my previous life, after I married him, I discovered that he'd always loved his foster sister, Hazel. His mother forced them apart at the threat of death, so he had no choice but to marry me, only because I looked somewhat like Hazel. After marriage, he remained cold toward me, entangled with Hazel without end. I cried. I made a scene. And in the end, on my way to find him to get a divorce, I had an accident and died in bitter hatred. Reborn into another life, a friend asked me puzzled, "Are you doing all this to get Julian's attention?" No, I wanted to get away from him. My best friend was having a birthday. She invited me to the party. I stepped into the private room at the liveliest moment. No one paid any attention to me. That changed only when I walked over to my friend. "Oh, Anna, you cut your hair?" My friend Talia had a loud voice. When she shouted, everyone looked over. The atmosphere fell silent, their gazes fixed on my ear-length bob, showing subtle expressions. I pretended not to notice. I smiled. "Yeah, I just got it cut." The stylist said, "This look suits me. Do you like it?" "Beautiful. Very beautiful." Sparse voices of agreement. Those who praised me complimented me while unconsciously glancing in one direction. "I don't think it's very beautiful." The blunt disparagement rang especially clear amid the flattery. In that direction, Hazel hastily covered her mouth as if she'd said the wrong thing. Her expression was annoyed. "Sorry, Anna. I accidentally said what I was thinking. You know me, I'm always blunt. You won't be mad at me, will you?" I hadn't said anything yet. Julian stood up and repeated it to me. Honestly, it's not flattering at all. The mood immediately turned awkward. I shrugged indifferently and smiled. "It's okay. I like it myself." Julian pulled me outside. In the corridor outside the private room, we stood facing each other. The man's features were somewhat obscured by the hallway light, but I could feel his suppressed anger in his words. "Anna, who told you to suddenly cut your hair? Didn't I say I liked you with long hair? As your boyfriend, you Julian." He didn't finish. I cut him off. "Let's break up." The air stilled for a moment. He frowned, about to say something. Suddenly, voices rose from the private room. Hazel and Talia arguing. Julian's frown deepened. He snorted softly, "Left to suit yourself," and hurried back to the room. I watched his retreating back and let out a quiet sigh. I met Julian in high school. In our first year, I broke my leg dancing and had to walk with a crutch. Because of that, I was often picked on. They called me little behind my back. They would deliberately trip me when I walked. Once they snatched my homework, and when I started crying helplessly because I couldn't keep up, I ran into Julian. People sometimes find themselves moved by someone at certain moments. Julian not only helped me then, he protected me through all 3 years of high school. Even after my leg had long since healed, following him felt like a habit. Everyone knew I liked him. He casually said, "I like girls with long hair." So I grew my hair down to my waist. He said, "Girls should be gentle and demure." So I quit the street dance club, stopped skiing in the mountains, and no longer surfed at the beach. I gave up my friendships, gave up my hobbies, and reshaped myself into something unrecognizable according to what he liked. At last, my efforts were not in vain. He made our relationship official and even introduced me to his family. They had adopted a girl named Hazel. When I met Hazel, she affectionately looped her arm through Julian's. "Anna is really pretty, bro. You're going to be one lucky guy." Hazel and Anna even look a bit alike. A casual remark faintly laced with hostility. I didn't take to heart. Nor did I notice the brief stiffening in Julian. In my previous life, Julian and I married without trouble. It was just that after the wedding, he remained distant toward me. Only when Hazel sent me their intimate video did I learn the truth. In the video, they did things only spouses would do without any scruples. Hazel's taunting words were like a knife, bloody and stabbing into my chest. If not for my adoptive mother's interference, the title of Mrs. Julian should have been mine. Do you think marrying him means you've won? Not necessarily. He doesn't love you at all. You're merely a substitute for me. Shocked, I spat a mouthful of blood and fury. I took out my documents and went to find Julian to get a divorce. But on the way there, I had a car accident and died a bitter, vengeful death. I never expected that when I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. Reborn, at the moment we had just been admitted to university. This time, I set out to become everything Julian hated. That unrecognizable substitute. I refused to play the part anymore. When I returned to the private room, Hazel was crying in Julian's arms. Julian's face was cold and severe as he said to Talia in a low voice, "Talia, apologize to my sister." Talia craned her neck. "Why should I apologize to that conniving little T? It was your sister who first spoke to Ivana, and I only told her off. If anyone has to apologize, fine. But she should apologize to Anna first." Hazel's eyes were red, and she spoke in a wounded, pleading tone. "But I was only telling the truth, wasn't I? Is that wrong?" When she looked up, her eyes were brimming with tears. She seemed to be suffering some enormous grievance. Talia wasn't having any of it. "Well, when I called you a conniving little T and said you had a filthy tongue, that was me telling the truth, too. So I'm not wrong either, Talia. That's enough." Julian snapped sharply. His towering figure stepped forward, creating an oppressive presence. Talia didn't flinch an inch. At that moment, they all saw me. A gleam flashed in Hazel's eyes. "Anna, you finally showed up." From what others had said just now, I already knew why Hazel and Talia had fought. After Julian and I left the private room, Hazel had murmured behind our backs that I was stingy and mean. It was because once Julian and I went on a trip to the Malda, and Hazel wanted to come along. I politely made it clear I wanted a trip alone with Julian, but Hazel seemed not to understand. She followed us anyway. On the first day, Hazel was afraid of getting sunburned and didn't want to go out, so Julian stayed with her at the hotel and played games all day. On the second day, I finally persuaded her to go out, but she complained of stomach aches and nausea, so Julian just booked the earliest flight back. The trip we'd been planning and looking forward to for so long fell through like that. I was upset and couldn't help losing my temper with Hazel. Hazel cried as she tried to explain to me. "I'm sorry, Anna. I just wanted to get close to you, my future sister-in-law. I didn't mean to." Julian came over to persuade me, too. But it was obvious he was siding with Hazel. Hazel meant well. Besides, Hazel is my family. If the two of us get married, she would be your sister, too. What's the harm in you showing her some difference? Family. Sister. Those two words made me choose to endure once again because at that time I truly loved Julian and wanted to become real family with him. I was willing to give up myself and change for him. I was willing to give up my dignity and swallow my pride for him. Yet to my surprise, Hazel still wasn't satisfied with my concessions. She would talk about people behind their backs. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive, but I think Anna's being petty for blowing up over something like this. She comes off as pretty mean. It so happened that Talia overheard those words. Talia was furious and ended up arguing with Hazel. Now, seeing me come in, Hazel showed not a shred of shame for being caught gossiping. Instead, she wore a face of brazen confidence. "Anna, I was just saying it casually. You're not going to take it seriously, right? Can you control your friend? She's making such a fuss. Isn't she just trying to drive a wedge between us?" She looked at Talia with a satisfied air. She was certain I would, as before, choose to yield to please Julian, to smooth things over for Julian, even to turn on the friend who had always defended me and stood up for me. But she was destined to be disappointed. I looked her in the eye, and word by word said seriously, "I do mind." At those words, everyone froze for a moment, Talia included. Her eyes widened slightly. She stared at me without blinking. I smiled at her. Hazel still seemed a bit incredulous. She tugged at the corner of her mouth. "Anna, what did you just say?" I said, "I mind. Talking badly about me behind my back. Is that your upbringing?" Hazel's face instantly flushed crimson. She looked up at Julian pitifully. Tears trembled at the corners of her eyes, ready to fall. Julian's clear, handsome features also darkened with anger. But whatever he was thinking didn't show. He only said coldly, "It's just because you changed your hairstyle and I said it didn't look good on you, and you throw a tantrum, but don't take it too far.
Calm down.
Calm down. Come find me in a few days." With that, he took Hazel and left. I felt like laughing. From his perspective, my breaking up with him and arguing with Hazel were just me being petulant. He never thought I was serious. After they left, Talia looked at me a little annoyed. "Sorry, Anna, that I got Julian mad at you. If you want, I can go apologize to Hazel. They can scream at me, curse me, whatever. I'll take it." There was genuine worry in Talia's eyes. She knew how much Julian meant to me. I could do anything for him. But that was before. I took her hand.
Don't.
"Julian and I have already broken up." Talia widened her eyes.
Huh?
"Really?" "Yes." "Really?" I suddenly hugged Talia gently. My chin rested on her soft shoulder, and I felt like crying. Talia and I have known each other since we were children. When she was little, she lost all her hair from medication for her illness and was often ridiculed at school. I was the kind of carefree person who would beat up anyone who dared to laugh at her. Talia relied on me a lot, and we shared the same interests. We both liked sports like skiing and surfing. Gradually, we became very good friends. But when I met Julian, everything changed. I grew my hair long and became gentle and demure. I stopped surfing, stopped skiing, stopped dancing. My friends left me one by one because of the changes in me. Only Talia stayed. Friendship needs no words. "Talia, thank you for not giving up on me." Talia, on the other hand, looked a little embarrassed. She mockingly patted my shoulder. "It's just a breakup. Don't worry, there are plenty of good men in the world. I'll find you an even better one." I didn't take Talia's words to heart. The first thing I did when I got back to school was quit the art club and join the street dance club. When I handed the paper withdrawal form to the teacher in charge, the other members were standing nearby. Hazel was among them. One member asked, "Why is Anna quitting the club? Doesn't she know it deducts credits to withdraw?" Someone else answered, "Why else?" She tried so hard to imitate Hazel and ended up being crushed by her instead. Her mindset just collapsed. That person was Hazel's roommate and naturally spoke up for her. Hazel wore a look of triumph, though not an outright one. I knew she didn't want me to quit the group. This was her comfort zone, the place where she could reliably outshine me. Hazel had been drawing since elementary school and was quite skilled. I, on the other hand, was a dilettante. When I was with Julian, he said that a girl who could draw would seem refined and graceful. So I gave up my other hobbies and focused on learning to draw. But I had, after all, studied it for a shorter time. Compared with Hazel, who had been practicing for years, I naturally couldn't match her in every way. The university club was a very pragmatic place, especially since many activities were tied to credits. As one of the club's top talents, Hazel could effortlessly organize much of what needed doing. She once asked me to fetch some drawing paper and ended up accidentally splashing paint all over me. A photo of me, a mess from head to toe, was posted on the school's forum and became everyone's joke. Now that I'm leaving the art club, of course, she doesn't want me to. She can't help asking, "You're quitting the art club. Does my brother know?" "None of his damn business," I answered. Hazel hadn't expected me to be so rude. I didn't give her a chance to retort either. I snatched up the teacher's permission slip and strode off. For the next few days, I was unusually calm. I focused on my own affairs and stopped thinking about anything else. Occasionally, I would get together with Talia and a few other friends. One night, I suddenly received a call from Julian. His tone carried a hint of pleading. "Anna, my stomach hurts. Can you bring me some medicine?" Julian has a weak stomach. He often has stomach aches and forgets to take his medicine, and he always calls me to bring it. I replied coldly, "Julian, have you forgotten that we already broke up?" Julian was silent for a moment. He sounded resigned. "Enough already. I'm giving you a way out here. Please stop holding on to it." "Okay. That day was my fault. I shouldn't have said you were ugly in front of everyone. If you want to be angry, you've had plenty of time. I'm apologizing." That lofty, condescending tone made it sound as if him apologizing to me was some rare favor. I wasn't angry. Perhaps when you've been disappointed in someone to the extreme, nothing they say or do can move you anymore. Julian, I'm breaking up with you. I'm serious. After I said it, I didn't wait for his reaction and hung up. I sat alone for a while in silence. Then I let out a soft breath. Maybe it was my serious tone that finally made Julian realize we were over. He didn't contact me again. Talia, on the other hand, mysteriously asked me out, saying she had a surprise for me. She even insisted I put on makeup and wear a pretty dress. I picked out a Ralph Lauren dress. When I arrived, I saw Talia waving at me cheerfully. There was another person standing beside her. Senior Matthew. I hurried over and greeted him. I glanced at Talia, trying to ask with my eyes what was going on and why Senior Matthew would be here. Senior Matthew is a senior in our department and a prominent figure at our school. Not only is he handsome and high-achieving, but he also comes from a good family. He has amassed countless admirers on campus. Only I'd heard he was rather aloof and not very sociable. I had no idea why he would be here with Talia. Is that your boyfriend? I pulled Talia aside and asked her quietly. Talia looked serious. No, that's your boyfriend. Me? Seeing my blank face, Talia finally grinned and explained the situation. Didn't I say last time I was going to find you a better man? So, I posted something, set up a matchmaking call-out, attached your photo, asked interested parties to contact me, and then Senior Matthew reached out. As for why I have Senior Matthew's contact at the last academic seminar for our class, I had some questions for him. So I added him. That's not the point. The point is today is your blind date. Behave yourself. I'm counting on you. Me? Talia? You unreliable scheming mutt. No matter how I glared, Talia pretended not to see. She handed us 2 amusement park tickets, then greeted Matthew, and walked off without looking back. I was so awkward. My toes felt like they could build 2 castles. Matthew seemed to notice. He handed me a bottle of water and chuckled softly. Don't be so nervous. Just think of this as hanging out with a regular friend. Have you been here before? His manner was natural like him. Easygoing, gentle. I gradually relaxed. I figured Matthew might have something to talk to me about. That's why he took the opportunity to ask Talia to invite me out. Otherwise, given his popularity and family background, what kind of girlfriend couldn't he find? Why would he need to come here to be set up with me? Thinking that, I relaxed even more. I picked whatever rides I liked and waited for Senior Matthew to speak. Senior Matthew was very composed and considerate, too. I preferred the thrilling rides, but wearing a skirt made some of them inconvenient. So, he took off his jacket and draped it over my legs. That made me think of the time I came to the amusement park with Julian. Whenever I wanted to try those rides, he'd frown and scold me. They're dangerous. You're wearing a skirt. It's inconvenient. Better not go. People really are different. Julian's voice echoed in my head, and as if in answer, I turned and saw Hazel linked arm in arm with Julian. At that moment, they happened to look over at me, too. When Julian saw me, his expression changed. Then he noticed Senior Matthew standing behind me, his brow furrowed as he walked toward me. Anna, what are you doing here? He demanded. His tone was restrained, yet had the self-righteousness of someone catching a cheater. I didn't know how to answer on a date. Senior Matthew behind me had already spoken. Who are you? Is there something you need? Senior Matthew stepped forward. He suddenly intertwined his fingers with mine. I was startled, but I didn't pull away. His hand was large and warm. My attention involuntarily fixed on it, leaving no room even for Julian. In an instant, Julian's eyes re-beamed. He glared at me and raised his voice. We broke up less than a month ago, and you've already gone to another man. I looked at him in surprise. Or what? Am I supposed to stay chaste for you? I was only fixated on shutting Julian down. I didn't realize that my words amounted to an implicit admission of my relationship with Senior Matthew. Now that it hit me, my body went rigid. I glanced covertly at Senior Matthew, only to find the corner of his mouth lifted, not the least bit offended. At that moment, Hazel ran over too. Seeing the three of us locked in confrontation, a flicker of complexity crossed her eyes. She urged Julian, "Brother, let's go back." Julian ignored her. He seemed to have been struck by something. He looked at the hand clasped with Senior Matthews, then at our faces.
Suddenly he snapped.
"Impossible. You're lying to me, aren't you?" He seemed to be confirming, or perhaps persuading himself. "You and Matthew weren't close before. How could you start dating so quickly? You must have just happened to come out and saw me, so you lied about dating, right?" I felt guilty. He had actually guessed it right, but I couldn't show weakness. I shouted loudly, "Who said that?" "He's my boyfriend." Julian's face went deathly pale. There was no expression on Matthew's face. He simply draped an arm over my shoulders and said lightly, "Let's go." We ignored them. After putting distance between us and Julian's group, I let go of Matthew's tightly held hand and apologized to him. "Sorry, Senior. I was panicked for a moment and took the liberty of saying you were my boyfriend. If this causes any negative impact on you later, I'll be sure to set things straight." I was sincere. After all, I didn't know whether Julian and Hazel would spread word of today's events. Matthew was very popular at school. It would be bad if it stirred up unnecessary misunderstandings. Thinking that, I felt even more guilty. Unexpectedly, Matthew suddenly leaned down, bringing his face level with mine. He smiled faintly. "You don't need to apologize. I actually asked you out with the intention of dating. I'm very happy that you told others I'm your boyfriend." I was a little stunned. I remembered what Talia had said. She had posted a matchmaking notice and Matthew had contacted her. So, Matthew didn't have something to tell her. He was actually there simply for matchmaking.
But why?
Matthew looked into my eyes and chuckled softly. "You might have forgotten. We've met before. I've liked you for a long time." "When? When was that?" I felt awkward. I really had forgotten. But he didn't say more. He simply asked me, "If that's the case, would you be willing to try with me?" His gaze was sincere. It also held a trace of nervousness and apprehension. I found myself unconsciously bewitched by that look, but I still refused him. Not for any other reason. In my previous life, Julian had hurt me so deeply. I couldn't readily open myself to intimacy again. Senior Matthew wasn't angry at being turned down. He only smiled gently. "It's okay." Julian was distracted. Since leaving the amusement park, he had slipped into a very strange state. Anger, pain, panic, denial, regret. He didn't even hear Hazel when she spoke to him. His head was full of Anna. To be honest, he didn't like Anna at first. Initially, he approached her simply to find a suitable, well-matched girlfriend who would be devoted to him. What he truly liked was Hazel. But fate made it clear they were not meant to be. Though not related by blood, a brother and sister were still brother and sister. His parents would never agree. Anna, on the other hand, was beautiful and came from a good family, and she did not hide her admiration for him. It was too fervent, too dazzling. That was not like Hazel. Hazel had always been gentle and quiet. He only mentioned it to Anna in passing, and she actually was willing to change for him, growing her hair out, giving up her former hobbies, distancing herself from her old friends. She loved him desperately. He enjoyed being adored. But one day, things suddenly changed. She abruptly cut her hair short, and she broke up with him. Julian thought she was sulking. After she cut her hair, Hazel told everyone to their faces that it didn't suit her. To defend Hazel, Julian also said it looked bad on her, but it was actually very beautiful. It was striking. Still, the words were out, and that was that. He thought Anna wouldn't care. This had happened many times before, and she never minded. Maybe today she couldn't save face. She actually made a scene and demanded a breakup. To be honest, Julian's heart tightened for a moment, but he quickly thought, impossible. Anna loved him so much. It must be a calculated play of pulling back to make him chase. Julian didn't take it to heart. She would surely regret it. The party broke up on a sour note. Julian didn't reach out to Anna. He waited for her to beg to get back together. There was no contact on the first day. No contact on the second. A whole week went by with nothing. Julian grew anxious. While drinking with friends, they teased him. "Where's your girlfriend? Don't tell us you've actually broken up." Julian called Anna first for the first time. "Fine, give her a way out." He told Anna his stomach hurt and asked her to bring medicine. He had a stomach problem. In the past, he deliberately forgotten his pills, so Anna would come over with them. The envious looks from his brothers fed his vanity. Anna's gentle admonitions and reproaches softened him, especially when he saw Anna saddened and aching, worrying about him. The sight stirred a faint sweetness in his chest. This time when he called, he expected her to worry for him like before, but all he heard in her voice was indifference. "Julian, I broke up with you. I'm serious." Julian was at a loss for a moment. After the bewilderment came a surge of anger. This time, the one sulking was him. "Fine, so it's a breakup. We'll see who regrets it," he told himself. Anna loved him so much. How could she be willing to split from him? And what of it if they split? Hazel was always jealous anyway. And the one he actually liked was Hazel. That said, he still found himself secretly checking Anna's posts every day, looking at her social accounts, even trying to learn about her life from her friends. He told himself he wasn't curious about her. He just wanted to see what she looked like, hurt and lost after a breakup. That day, he happened to hear that Talia had bought 2 tickets to the amusement park. Was Anna going with Talia? A thought suddenly rose in him.
Go see her.
Stage a chance encounter. Maybe apologize while he was at it. He bought a ticket for the same day, too. He'd planned to go alone. But Hazel found out he'd bought a ticket. She was delighted. "Brother, are you taking me to the park?" Watching her beseeching cocket face, he still didn't voice a refusal. He merely nodded assent and afterward felt a little regretful. But something he regretted even more happened. When he saw another man already standing beside Anna, it was as if a blaze had consumed his reason, pride, and reserve. Without thinking, he rushed over to confront her, to accuse her, to doubt her. Yet, there wasn't a trace of longing for him in Anna's eyes, nor any hint of sorrow or pain. There wasn't even anger, only calmness, only disdain. Julian was truly panicking. He really felt the ache in his heart. Even after she and Matthew walked away, he kept thinking, was it really over just like that? Could he really let go so calmly? No, absolutely not. I don't know what Julian was thinking because I was about to attend the banquet. When they parted that day, Matthew said his mother's birthday was coming up and she was throwing a birthday party, and he invited me to attend. I'll invite other classmates from school too, so don't feel any pressure. Even treat me as just an ordinary friend. I thought for a moment and agreed. As expected, many people came to the banquet. The Meng family is wealthy and influential. A lot of people were eager to flatter them. I even saw Julian's family. His mother, Victoria, saw me too. She walked toward me, followed by Julian and Hazel. "Anna, why haven't you been coming by lately? I was just thinking about you a few days ago. Victoria is a very strict person, but she's kind to me. In my previous life, she liked me a lot. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to let me be with Julian. After I became official with Julian, I often visited their home. But that was before. Auntie, Julian, and I have broken up." As I said this, I glanced at Julian. It seemed he hadn't told his mother yet. Surprise crossed Victoria's face. Her expression suddenly turned ugly. She turned to Julian and demanded sharply, "What is the meaning of this?" Julian hesitated for a long moment, then said slowly, "It's my fault. I'll try hard to win Anna's forgiveness." Hazel, standing beside him, saw Julian being scolded and couldn't help but say, "You can't put all the blame on my brother." But before she could finish, Victoria slapped her. "Don't think I don't know what you're thinking." Victoria knew about the affair between Julian and Hazel. It was precisely because she opposed it that Hazel didn't end up with Julian. Victoria turned and took my hand, speaking gently. "Anna, Julian made you angry. I'll go and tell him off. Give him another chance, will you? I really do want you to be my daughter-in-law." When she finished speaking, an expectant look appeared in Julian's eyes. Hazel, however, glared at me with resentment. I was just about to refuse when a voice came from beside me. "Anna, what are you doing here?" I've been looking for you everywhere. I turned around. It was Matthew. He was wearing a black suit today, looking elegant and handsome. He came up to me and politely greeted Victoria and the others. Then, somewhat affectionately, he reached out his hand to me. Might I have the honor of asking you to dance? I glanced at the slightly embarrassed Victoria and the others. I placed my hand in his palm. After excusing myself to Victoria, I let Matthew lead me away. Once we were out of sight, I whispered to Matthew, "Thanks for getting me out of that." Senior Matthew let out a soft laugh. Getting you out of that was real, and I truly did want to dance with you. In the end, I danced with him. A graceful waltz, brisk in tempo, the melody lingering in the air. When it was nearly over, he leaned close to my ear and said, "Anna, don't give Julian any more chances. You're so good. He doesn't deserve you." Warmth surged in my chest. Tears were almost falling. In my previous life, I kept reflecting on whether I hadn't done enough. That was why Julian repeatedly betrayed my feelings. After being reborn, I was no longer confused. It wasn't that I was at fault, but that Julian didn't know how to cherish. Yet, thinking of the hurts I suffered in my past life still left a lingering ache in my heart. Now, Matthew's approval felt like a breeze, soothing the resentment in my heart. If you don't appreciate me, there will always be someone who does. After the party, my relationship with Matthew grew a little closer. His pursuit of me was hardly concealed. I also slowly began to try dating him. Only this time, unlike when I was with Julian, I didn't pour all my feelings into him. I wouldn't endure wrongs for him, nor allow myself to be hurt. I think that's what a normal relationship should be like. Not one person blindly changing to please the other, but two people sharing their love, appreciating each other, and growing together. Julian, for reasons I couldn't understand, suddenly started behaving unusually attentive toward me. He brought me flowers. He brought me breakfast. I refused all of it. I had told him countless times that I would never get back together with him, but he just seemed unwilling to believe it. "You've done so much for me. How could you not love me? Are you angry with me? Aren't you?" I had no words for his stubbornness. But that wasn't the end. One day, a post suddenly appeared on the school's forum. The front of the post was my photo. Stamped across it was the word the post was clearly aimed at me. It said I was stringing Julian along while seducing Matthew. It even listed various pieces of evidence. There were photos of Julian delivering things to me. There were also photos of me with Matthew. It would have been nothing more than a romantic squabble under normal circumstances. But Matthew was so popular at school. Coupled with the prodding of those with agendas, it wasn't long before someone came to cause me trouble. That day, I went to the dance changing room. When I opened the locker, a dead mouse fell out. Talia was startled, too. She asked me what to do. I said in a low voice, "Call the police." The police found the culprit quickly. It was a little girl with her hair in a bun. When she was brought before me, surprise and fear were still written on her face. I guess she hadn't expected me to call the police right away. She had only meant to disgust me, but she didn't think she was in the wrong. "You're the one who's loose. I was just trying to teach you a lesson. You're not only promiscuous, you're petty." Talia was so angry, she wanted to hit her. I hurriedly held Talia back. I stared at the girl intently. The girl, made uneasy by my gaze, said, "What do you want?" I didn't answer her. I turned to the police instead. Her behavior counts as intimidation, doesn't it? I won't accept mediation. If it means a sentence, then sentence her. The girl's face went white in an instant. As she was tremblingly led away by the officer, a mist of tears rose in her eyes. Of course, I was trying to scare her. Intimidation can indeed lead to a sentence, but only in serious cases. At worst, for her, this would be an apology and a fine. People must pay for their actions. Talia watched nearby, enjoying the spectacle. "Consider this a warning to others," she said. "Now that this has happened, let's see who else dares cause trouble." I glanced at her. The real instigator is the one who posted it.
Talia.
"Okay, I'll have someone look into it." I shook my head. "No need. You can guess who it is." It's bound to be one of those two. I went to see Julian first. His stomach problems had flared up and he'd been in the hospital for a few days. When he saw me walk in, a flicker of surprise crossed his face. Anna, did you come specially to see me? I couldn't be bothered with small talk, so I pulled the post out and set it in front of him. Did you do this? Julian looked closely, and anger and a sense of grievance gradually appeared on his face. How could you think it was me? He really didn't know. He had been hospitalized a few days ago for a stomach ailment, and because he felt unwell, he paid little attention to such news. He only heard about it today. I expressionlessly put my phone away. Fine, since it wasn't you, I'm leaving. Julian quickly grabbed my arm. His tone softened, pleading, Anna, please don't be mad. Okay. I shouldn't have said those things about you in front of so many people last time. Won't you forgive me this once? From his perspective, he was confused. Everything had been fine before, yet we were breaking up over something as trivial as a change in hairstyle. He truly didn't understand. That's why he kept thinking I was just being petulant. I watched him quietly. Do you really want to be with me, or do you want me to keep being Hazel stand-in? He seemed struck by lightning. His voice was dry as he said, Why, you knew. I ignored him and turned to leave, but I didn't expect Julian to chase after me so quickly. He was barefoot, his expression tense and a little disheveled. He grabbed my arm anxiously. Anna, I admit I had those feelings before, but I don't like Hazel anymore. I'm sure the one I like is you. I gave him a cold look. If you really like me, then please stop harassing me. After leaving the hospital, I went to see Hazel again. Only this time, I didn't go alone. I brought the police and a lawyer. Hazel denied it at first, but when the police laid the evidence in front of her, she opened her mouth. After a long while, she said in a small voice, I just exaggerated the facts a bit. I haven't done you any real harm. Was it necessary to call the police? I sneered. You don't really think spreading lurid rumors comes without a price, do you? Hazel's eyes brimmed with tears as she screamed at me. It's all your fault, G. You only ever had feelings for me. You stole him away from me. You both were just playing out love. You have no idea how important my brother is to me. You don't deserve him. He will always be mine. Hazel was taken away by the police. As they let her off, her face was full of resentment. Forbidden love, a foster mother's objections, hidden desires, and her jealousy and hatred toward me, they had driven her to a reckless madness. Seeing her like that, for some reason I suddenly had a bad feeling. The feeling was soon realized. The rumor that Hazel had been arrested spread quickly. Although she was released shortly after, people still talked about her. Someone even started a thread on the school's forum specifically about the incident. Those who harm others will eventually harm themselves. She ultimately suffered the backlash. She also tasted what it was like to have everyone's words cut like a blade. Because of this matter, she didn't come to school for several days. But when she reappeared, she was driving a car. I had just finished class that day and was on my way to meet Matthew. The engine roared as it revved. Amid everyone's screams, the car came charging toward me. Watch out. Matthew reacted fast. He yanked me aside. The car brushed the hem of my skirt as it sped past. Hazel slammed on the brakes and glanced back at me. That look was full of hatred and madness. She had lost her mind. She swung the wheel around. She drove toward me again. People scattered. The scene was chaos. Matthew grabbed me once more to dodge, but blood spread. Hazel struck someone else. It was Julian. Julian lay on the ground covered in blood. Hazel ran out of the car, sobbing. Brother. Brother. No one saw exactly how Julian had come to be there, but everyone knew he had done it to stop Hazel. The ambulance arrived quickly. The police came quickly, too. The two of them were taken away separately. I was still in shock. Matthew gave me a gentle hug and patted my back. It's all right now. 6 months later, the dust settled. Hazel was sentenced to life imprisonment. Julian hadn't died. He was missing a leg forever. He had also been suspended from school. Matthew was about to graduate from school and formally enter society. At the graduation party, the street dance crew had a number, and I was going on stage. While doing makeup backstage, A junior said someone was looking for me. I stepped out and saw Julian. He sat in a wheelchair, quietly watching this side, his gaze deep and marked by world weariness. I couldn't tell what he was thinking. When I walked over, he gave me a small smile. "You've lived well in this life, Anna." He survived a life and death ordeal and was reborn. I turned and walked back. I didn't say another word. No matter what happened in a past life in this life, I don't want any more entanglement with him. Before long, it was my turn on stage. My like-minded companions, and I bloomed freely under the lights. Below the stage, Matthew's focused gaze was fixed on me. Seeing him like that, I suddenly remembered. My mother had once been hospitalized for appendicitis surgery. While she was in the hospital, I visited her every day. There I met a little boy. He was secretly crying outside. To cheer him up, I danced for him. His eyes then were just like they are today, sincere, intent. I smiled. If you bloom, a gentle breeze will come of its own accord.